Um, Hi guys. Welcome to Experience Design. And we are trying a new time. 5 o'clock South African time. Well, we're a bit late. So I wanted to see if this time will work for some of you. So we'll begin shortly. And if you join us, just greet us, say hi, tell us which country you are streaming from. And it's always nice just to see who's online. Guys, so I'm hoping to keep these sessions consistent. Let's see how it goes. And so if you want to present a topic, please let me know. So today, we're going to talk about how simple is a simple language in design. And this sounds like a simple topic, but it's a hard one to address. So I'm just gonna give you guys a moment. Please, just greet us. Say hi. I will share a message. If you have questions, please type them in the comment section. I will respond to them. And if you just want to greet everyone, please do so. Just say hi. Yeah, I do see that there are people online sometimes, but I don't know exactly who is online. So I'm gonna kick it off shortly, without wasting time. So just give me a moment. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, just give me a moment. Let's see. Okay, so as I said, today we'll talk about a simple topic which is very very hard to implement in practice. How simple is simple language in design? That's what we want to talk about. And yeah so I just want to start off with some like few examples that some of you might have seen. Okay, and I'm hoping that these examples will help you guys to understand today's topic. So and said like you might have seen some of these examples, and you'd see someone, sorry, these actual messages that you might have seen in some apps that you've used, on some websites that you've used, or like any like digital platform that you've used, or even on like physical papers, where you've had to fill in forms, etc. Right? Or any like messages that you have seen in different forms, right? And you might have seen something like transaction details. Someone has like written that, and you do something and then you want to fill some details, and then they will say transaction details. That's like a transaction is a very like technical term, right? And especially for people who are in the financial services space, and the transaction is in progress. The transaction has been declined. um, you will see a lot of that. Maybe you're doing like a bank, let's say you're paying someone and you're doing like bank transfer, right? You will see like those type of messages. And maybe you will see when you're trying to pay someone, and if something goes wrong, maybe the transaction was not successful, right? And this type of messages, they don't mean much to a customer, and the customer doesn't have to be in the financial services space to understand what these terms mean. Even the people who work in the financial services space, they don't even understand themselves where these terms actually come from. Some of them are technical terms that come from developers, from a develop from the technical environment, and some they come from a business, business perspective, where there's processes that you're documenting, etc. Right? And some of these like terms they come from legal, you know, uh, um, requirements that we have to meet, and yeah. So I mean, there are many parties, right? That often have requirements that are technical that need to be translated in a very simple manner. You might have seen like request pending approval, you know, and someone would need to unpack that and understand, okay, what do you mean, request pending approval, right? And but yeah, if you can just say something as simple as, um, your claim is has been received and is being assessed, and after that, if all is well, we'll approve it, something along those lines. And I'm just giving you guys, I just had to think of an example, on the fly. And yeah, we might have seen something like reinstate your policy. Maybe you stopped paying for a policy, or certain product, and then it got deactivated at some point, and now it needs to be activated. And yeah, it became like inactive, right? You'll see like such things, and yeah. So in some cases, you might have seen lingo like your claim was unauthorized, you know, and another one would be like we are still processing your application, right? So today I'm not going to talk about how to craft successful, content in dish in customer journeys, right? That's not the main purpose of today's session. I'm just like here to highlight some of the issues, and how we can minimize some of this like heavy language that we impose to our customers, right? So yeah, maybe I'll probably have a session where we can talk about how to craft a better content, right? And yeah, so I mean, I've seen a lot of apps where they've done like a great job in terms of doing that, and I'll probably like do that in some session and share some good examples. So yeah, that's basically like the few examples that I thought I would share. I said, in summary, these are some of these are type of messages that you would see. When you are interacting with apps, websites. In some cases, some people are even like designing stuff now, for WhatsApp, etc., right? Or even like USSD. And in some cases, you'll even get an email, that gives you, this type of messages that customers do not fully understand. So, what is causing this problem? And I mean, we used to not to have content writers, and you know, we like if you are in a company where you've got like the various design you know sort of design disciplines, right? That's great. If you can have your product designer or UX or UI designers, content writers, etc., that's a good privilege to have, right? Even with content writers, you can still have these problems that I've shared, right? So we've got a lot of like degreed designers, you know uh, designers who went to school, they have degrees, they went to university, who want to show off their English competency. And you would see this a lot in meetings, how people speak, and you can pick it up easily that, oh, this person is in a meeting, you know, versus a person being on a call with a friend. The choice of words that we use, we just switch to this mode. And a lot of times, the manner in which we engage, even in the room, the choice of words that we use, they end up you know uh touching a customer somehow. The words that we create when you're designing this process, the business processes, the discussions that we have with business stakeholders, you know, and when I say degrade designers, um, people often want to, show their level of education in these like meetings or engagement, right? Even when you like read, yeah, some of these like PowerPoint presentations, you would see that the level of English that's being used, and it's like an opportunity to show, how degreed you are. If you've got a PhD or masters or just a BSc, etc. Right? And I think it's time, we watch ourselves, right, in terms of how we engage with others, how we document the stuff that you know that we have in our presentations, or even in our designs, right? The choice of words that we use just for us to even like to explain our story, right? If you are intentional about using simple language even in your engagement, you're likely that you will have a simplified language that the customer will be exposed to in their customer experience. Yeah. So the corporate environment is full of industry jargon, and um, people seem to enjoy like acronyms. If you join a new company, they'll be like, "Yo, now learn our jargon," and we need to kill that culture. And we shouldn't be in a position where we're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," it's we've got this, jargon, and welcome to like our company, and also even the industry. It's like, yo, no, we want to belong to this specific group of people who know certain words, etc. It's fine. If you want to have a conversation, if you want to get straight to the point, you want to share your ideas, etc., with your colleagues, that's fine. I'm not gonna, fault anyone for doing that, right? But yeah, if we like, don't watch ourselves, right? Again, it's easy even for the industry jargon to land in the hands of the customer. Employees like to name everything under the sun, and when sometimes you don't need to name anything. You can just present it like the way it is. Coming up with a name, it also like complicates like things. It's like, okay, why can't you just present um a car like the way it is, um sometimes you'd find that like, from a marketing perspective, people want to create a term, and make a bill out of something that shouldn't be positioned in that way, right? And again, that can land on the hands of the customer, right? So how can we, if you think about it, right? I mean, the number of these scenarios, right? Whether it's a product that we need to release. If you are selling, let's say, a car insurance, we can just call it car insurance, and if you have a home loan, it's a home loan, you don't need to give it a special name, and people will link their need, which is a home loan, with the name of the brand, which is your company. Even when they need to Google that's what they look for, you know and we don't necessarily have to impose like our heavy language. So if you think about the need, okay, what is it? I want to finance my car, you know I want to bury my loved one, that I need a funeral cover, and you don't need to name this thing, X, right? So the other problem is some customers are less fluent in English than others. Okay, less fluent in English, and also they're less exposed to your industry. And some they have grade 12, some they have degrees, etc. Right? And if you take the lowest common denominator in terms of English competency, right? If you use simple language, even a degreed customer is not gonna complain. they will get something, and they will receive it well, right? So product designers rely too much on content writers. Like I've seen this happening a lot of times. No, we just have a content writer to work on this, right? The product designer or UX designer, um, you have your intentions when you're crafting an experience. You know how you want it to play out. What emotions do you want to evoke, right? What elements you want to elevate. Maybe you want to address trust. Maybe you want to persuade a customer. Maybe you want to sell this product as a cheap product, compared to something else out there, etc. Right? You'll have like these like rich insights, and then if you leave too much room for a content writer without context, unless that content writer is heavily involved, in the discussions. So this differs from company to company, but I've seen this, quite a lot, where it's like, yeah, sure, we have this content, it's a placeholder, but we're not articulating the intention of the content that we're writing. And it's very easy for any content writer to get the full context and understand what the intention is, because now you just created the skeleton, and now they just need to plug in the meat. And out of the skeleton, they might create a human being who's got a big head, or a big stomach, someone who's fat or someone who's slim. you know uh, is the skeleton supposed to be a skeleton of a woman or a man? So those are kind of challenges, that we have when there's a lack of context, right? So again, if the content writer is heavily involved, in the concepts, conceptualizing, the customer journey, right, refining it, testing it, etc., then it's a slightly different story. But as I said, I've seen a lot. I've seen this happening a number of times, right? And also, content shouldn't just be seen as something that is supposed to be dumped in certain boxes. It's like, okay, we're gonna create this card and leave a room for a content writer, right? Sometimes, if you want to sell a strong message you might have to reconsider even the UI element that you're using. Maybe that's not the way you want to sell the content, that's embedded in the experience, because it's a holistic experience, that you are crafting. It's not it shouldn't be like, as segregated. So if a product designer, I want you guys to try your best as much as possible to really think about what impactful message do you want to land to the customer. you know what are the key concerns that you've picked up, right, when you're doing discovery, and you can influence the content writers like early enough in their content writing, right? Yeah. So I've mentioned a bit of this, but let's talk about customer challenges. The truth is, they don't give a damn. They don't care about your industry. They just want your solution. And if you truly understand what that means, is they don't have time to sit down and understand. You know, if they need to buy a car, they don't need to understand the process of sourcing the material, the process of assembling a car, and the type of like material used, etc. you know um to an extent, they might care about, like, hey, is it leather, because that would boost their ego. Is it carbon fiber or whatever, but for the most part, they don't give a damn. And even when you're selling a car, you need to highlight things that matter to them, and in the way that they can understand it, right? And yeah, so when you know that they don't care, that means You don't have to give like like a long love letter in your as your content. You can just get straight to the point, simplify your language, etc. Right? um the assumption is that they have too much they have too much going on in their lives to learn your jargon. So they're living their lives. They are number of companies out there. There's a lot happening in their lives, and um if I have 5 minutes to understand and buy a product, I only have 5 minutes, you know. And this is not just about simplifying, right? The content, simplifying your solution, right? And even when you're designing an awesome car, you want to make it as simple as possible to drive, right? You want the messages, you want the customer to have a guided experience, and hey, the car is locked, the car is unlocked, ready to go. you know I am running out of fuel. Let's find the nearest filling station, right? That's like a simple guided experience. And yeah, so anyways, so I made a mistake there. That point, I'm gonna skip it. I think I wanted to add something else there. I'll come back to that if I remember. So mental model questions during UT. So this, when you conducting usability testing, right? So we often do this thing as part of discovery, okay, where we ask questions with an intention of trying to deeply understand, the customer's, past experience, their situations, the products that they've used, the experiences that they've been exposed to, whether in digital format or in a physical format, etc. Right? Just so that we can assess if there's a fit, if our solution fits their expectation, right? So when you do this exercise, I mean, this is a great exercise, and I've seen a lot of designers, not paying too much respect to this. When I say respect, sometimes people they'll do things because like, oh, okay, I need to do this thing, and then I need to rush straight into my design and test them, right? But if you don't deeply understand the customer, right, what works for them, what will be a better experience, what problems have they faced, and also what worries them, what concerns do you need to address, etc. What does good look like, in terms of the expectation, right? And when you have this type of conversation, you can probe, deeply, and as you probe, right, and you'll hear their responses, you'll hear how they respond to you, right, the choice of words that they use. If you listen to how they express themselves, you will get a better understanding. Oh, okay, this person pretty much is describing, a certain scenario without using technical language, and you can hear the choice of words that they're using, and then you can already get like hints. Oh, okay, these are the type of words I can use because of how they respond, how they express themselves, right? If you're a content writer, I know this is an exercise that is hugely like driven by UX designers and product designers. Try to tag your content writers along so that they can attend the sessions, or at least catch up in the recordings if they can attend these sessions, right? Just so that at least they can get a good idea of what content is working, right? And how, so that they can even hear the choice of words that customers are using, so that they can see how far off or how close they are, right? So I know we're all busy, but it's very important, if we are intentional about improving the experience, right? Intentional about having a simple language in our designs. These are the efforts that are impactful. You can read about design principles, but if you spend more time right, engaging with, with potential customers, um, you learn quite a lot more than principles, and you're even able to challenge some of the design principles that have been documented, because the customer behavior, changes over time, right? As it evolve, you can be like in the forefront of that change. Yeah. So why this is important, right? No one needs to convince you that our experience is not simple enough, because you can hear how the customers are actually responding, how they express themselves, right? And even their choice of words will also like give you a clue about how exposed they are, to your this to the solution that you are providing in your industry, right? And having diverse participants is also useful, and you can pick like, the lowest common denominator in terms of the phrases, the words that they use, the terms that they mention, even the companies that they're exposed to, etc., right? You can get to understand, oh, okay, if you probe enough, okay, why does this solution from company X company X work for you? They'll tell you, it's simple, and it's user friendly. You often hear them saying that, right? And it's easy to understand, it's not complicated, it's transparent, etc. So when you're using big words, it's very hard for any customer to trust you. To It's very hard for them to feel that you're a transparent brand, because if you are not using simple language, I might be scared that I am missing something. Do I fully understand when you say revival or reinstate or transaction pending approval? How confident am I that I understand what the message is about? You know, um, will I need to follow up? Uh, is there anything else that I need to do? You know, so when you keep the experience simple, right? You can keep it simple in terms of the process. You can also keep it simple in terms of how you know simplify the language, etc., right? I mean, a lot of times we talk about empathy, and when we are in our like fancy offices, we tend to forget about what empathy means. And sounding intelligent in the room full of other designers or business stakeholders, and end up using, you know, bombastic words in your digital experience, you won't yield the results that we want, which is to, empower customers, to um, use our services that we provide to them, with ease and comfort, right? So, anyways, I mean, there's quite a lot that I can talk about when I talk about mental model questions. This is like a rich exercise to do. I often spend, if I have an hour of doing a UT with the participant, I'll probably spend 30 minutes, just to better understand this human being, right? So that I can already anticipate how they will receive the experience that I'm about to test with them, right? And yeah, I mean, there's so much into it, right? But let's move on. So, how simple is simple? Um, so, first time customers, right? They should easily understand your content. There shouldn't be a need for any person to be familiar with your solution. If people can understand what you are selling the first time, okay. So there's the product detail, which is what you're selling, or the service that you are selling. And then there's the how you're selling it, that digital experience, right? Can they understand this thing with confidence? Can they buy it with confidence and with less concerns? Okay. And when I said there's no need to be familiar um, with the experience, and that, in such a way that a first time customer can easily buy this. Then the second point to that is there's no need. If there's no need to be familiar with the industry, that means because I mean I've had a lot of customers, and I've done a number of interviews, and this is like a recurring like a theme where customers would say, yeah, no, we're not in the financial industry, you guys, your stuff sounds complicated, or therefore I don't feel like I can do this thing on my own. I'd feel like I needed a financial advisor to break this stuff down for me, so I can feel confident that I understand and I'm not missing anything. you know Customers are always scared, like, am I getting the right stuff? And do I understand your industry enough to do this thing on my own? Maybe I need someone to hold my hand while I'm doing it. And even if we think that they can do it, right? But if that question mark still exists, even if the stuff is done digitally, if that question mark still exists, they will prefer to go to the branch because they can talk to someone. And because they're talking to someone, they will feel confident that they've done the right thing, even if they can go through the exact same experience digitally from the comfort of their home, just because the language was not simple enough. So, how simple is simple? If you can go through the content, end to end, when you're onboarding a customer, when your customer is buying a product, or your customer is browsing your product, right? um you can just even do like a simple exercise where you can say, hey, here's a front cover from company X, and this is how they have described it. Please, I want you to go through this and let me know what you understand about what is in front of you, right? And if they can get a good understanding as intended, then you can feel a bit confident. Oh, okay. And also, you don't you want to take someone who's done maybe, I don't know, grade 12 or grade 11 or 10, because the lower you go in terms of the education level, the more confident you can be. Oh, it's like, okay, this thing can be understood by someone who's got a grade 11. And I would feel confident that people who have a grade 11 and beyond will at least understand this, right? So that's like really the approach, right? Obviously, it's not like 100% true, because there are people who are self-taught, right? But the main aim here is to at least catch enough people, right? That's what I'm saying. As I said earlier, catching that lowest common denominator, right? And if they can go through your experience without the need to Google terms that are used on your content, okay, then you can feel that, okay, cool, this was simple enough. If they can understand pretty much like everything, right, without the need to double check, okay, have I understood this term? Because sometimes we forget English, like, oh, damn it. Do I still remember the true meaning of this term, or have I forgotten it? Or maybe am I mistaking this term with another term? Have I seen this term? You know, I've never actually googled this. I've never googled this term, but I've heard people using this term enough in a particular context, enough for me to guess what the term means. But in this case, I'm getting this product, I'm buying this is my money. You know, I would rather make sure, right? So customers, they go through such, turbulence emotionally, right? And When I say like you need to deeply empathize, I mean we talk about empathy a lot, but it's very very hard to not see empathy in action. Um, yeah. So if there's no need to have lengthy explanation and you can get straight to the point, then that feels simple. That is perceived as as simple. And if you can aim for like self-explanatory titles without descriptions, so this is where now we get lazy. Okay, I've seen even like content writers, they fall into this trap. Just because you have a title and a description placeholder doesn't mean that you you don't have to fully apply yourself to only have a title. So people were like, okay, we can elaborate in the description because we know that most people won't understand the title. So sometimes to have a room for failure forces us to be lazy, forces us to take the lazier route, which adds complexity on the customer journey. But if you knew that, bruh, we cannot write a description here, we don't have a choice, we can only write a title, then you'd force yourself to rethink creatively about how this title, how can it be simplified in a way that it doesn't need to have a description to support its meaning. Okay, and so how simple is simple? No, there shouldn't be any need for education background for your customers. Okay, and so this point also ties back to that, customers not having the need to be familiar with your industry. So at a basic level, right, whatever nonsense that is happening in this like universe, okay, there's a lot of chaos, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to fulfill a core need. For that core need, you don't have to be rich, you don't need to be educated, you don't need to like stay in like affluent suburbs, etc. As humans, right, we're able to talk, express ourselves without having to go to school. We're able to feel hunger without having to be educated or to have money, right? So at a core basic level, um, we have human needs, and those needs need to be met. And you can be superficial about it. You know, um, I need food. I can cook, I can grow my own veggies, or I can buy the food, or I can go to a restaurant, etc. Right? There are many ways to fulfill the need. I can cook, or I can get a chef, etc. But in the process of fulfilling your needs, we've created industries as a result of that, and then we've created jargon as a result of that. So if you're to rewind and take a step back, right, and just look at this, okay, what are we really really doing, right? Because there was a time where the jargon that we have today didn't exist, but fundamentally, the core needs of our customers were still being met, but being met differently. And just because we're meeting our meeting the needs of our customers differently, it doesn't mean that we have to now impose the new solutions, impose the industries that get created, or impose even the technological language that we create. The innovation that we create. I mean, people talk about chat GPT, etc. you know I mean, for years we've had, conditional logic, if statements, and at a basic level, there's we've had some form of logic that we can code as an input and um, give a certain output, right, based on the given parameters. And how it doesn't matter how simple or how advanced we've taken that approach, the technological advancements do not need to be imposed to the customer. We can simplify the experience, we can provide our services faster, and we can create our solutions faster, right? But at the fundamental level, no customer needs to feel that, oh, okay, this company is now using tech called X and Y. Okay, so anyways, guys, yeah, I thought I could just come, and share that with you. And yeah, yeah, I'm aiming to, to keep these sessions going. And yeah, so it was great, to see some people that have joined. I see that someone from Nairobi, Kenya, and yeah, Genevieve Omondi. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, sorry guys, I'm only like looking at your messages now. I'm just gonna read a second one before I say goodbye. But yeah, thank you so much, Genevieve Amondi. And I'm seeing Nada Teta Kirezi. The way we're discussing making our design language more user friendly is truly top notch. Users want to access services without having to learn new complicated technologies. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Um, but yeah, guys. Anyways, yeah, I just thought, let me just combine a few slides, quickly, and share some stuff with you guys. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think if we take a deep breath and just like reflect in terms of how we're doing things, we don't necessarily have to like research everything. Sometimes when you just like channel your energy like within and observe what is like what is happening around you, right? It becomes much easier to observe what's working and what's not working, and what could potentially work, what we can do better, etc., right? Yeah, and again, I mean, one step at a time. And again, how simple is simple. It's not that simple, practically, but it's an effort that we all need to make as designers, gradually. Um, and if you speak in a simple manner, when you engage with the colleagues, even when you're having this, design discussions, I sometimes don't even mention design language. When I'm engaging, I try to use like simple references, you know, just to simplify the discussion. And as a result of that, that helps me to get better, in terms of how I can better craft the digital experiences for customers. But yeah, so at the end of the day, look, it's a collective effort, and we might not necessarily produce the result that will make us all happy, right? But small steps, they will get us there. Change of behavior will also like get us there. A bit of observation, here and there will help us to get there. A bit of like focus, internally will also like help us to get there. So yeah, and that brings us to the end of the session. Yeah, so I hope to see you guys. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you are streaming this wherever you are, just let us know where you're streaming from. And if you have questions or comments, please, drop them in the section, in the comment section. And if you want to present a topic, please reach out to me. and I will helpfully arrange that for the community. Thank you guys. Have an awesome Wednesday.